All right, and we're back with the second half of the show. And the first story is going to come from thehill.com. Tennessee Library offering limited edition banned books card. If you listen to the show for any length of time, you know we have uh, a sustained hatred of censorship. And, we try to cover these stories every time they pop up because, quite frankly, we seek them out in a lot of cases. But in this particular story, more and more books are being banned in schools across the country. That's inspired one Tennessee public library to push back by launching a campaign that encourages readers to exercise their freedom to read, including reading banned books. The Nashville Public Library launched a Freedom to Read campaign last week, and it's encouraging people to sign up for a limited edition banned books library card. The library is advocating for its collection of more than 2 million books and materials, which include books that have been banned and challenged for potential banning in cities across the country. There's been an alarming surge in book censorship in the United States since last year, with 1,586 book bans or restrictions put in place, according to PEN America, a nonprofit focusing on free speech and literature. Books that touch a race, gender, sex, and LGBTQ identities have disproportionately been targeted. I want Nashvillians, that's what it says, Nashvillians to know, Nashville Public Library will always respect your freedom to read, to independently determine what you read and don't read, and to exercise your role in determining what your children read, said Kent Oliver, director of NPL. Tennessee has been one of many conservative states banning books from classrooms and school libraries, banning a total of 16 books. One Tennessee lawmaker said he would burn books taken out of school libraries during an exchange with another state lawmaker who asked what he suggested doing with the objectionable books. NPL is attempting to open up access to local residents interested in reading, with Oliver saying that he hopes the Freedom to Read campaign will bring the community together, which is essentially to sustain our democracy. In its announcement, NPL noted that 2 Tennessee school districts have recently moved the novels Mouse by Art Spiegelman and Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech from its shelves. Mouse is a graphic novel depicting the experiences of Spiegelman's parents during the Holocaust. It's been frequently targeted with book bans, despite winning a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah, surprise. I always say that. I've done that since I was a kid. I've always said surprise. It's a Pulitzer Prize in 1992. Readers interested in banned books can find a list of them on the NPL website, which has compiled all the books banned or challenged from the Library of Congress Books That Shaped America exhibit. There's a special collection of books by American authors who provoked thought and controversy changed throughout American history. Banned books is particularly popular among Americans, with an ALA survey of 1,000 votes and 472 parents from public school children finding 72% of readers opposed efforts to remove books from their local public libraries. So, I want to rate this gentleman when we get to the end, but I want everybody to think about it before we get there. Let's discuss it first. But I don't want the rating to be a social liability. I think we need to rate the library director on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being awesome. And just think about that before we get there. So, Duck, have you ever read the book Mouse or any other books that are seen as problematic?
Yeah, I think I've seen some lists of books that are banning, and they're books that were required reading for me. Um, like they keep Catcher in the Rye.
That's one that always gets. That's one that's on targeted quite a bit, is Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I read that in school. Um, I mean, I don't know the full list, but
Well,
yeah, it seems like a lot of the
yeah, there's quite a few. I know that Tom Sawyer is often targeted because they say the word Negro in it. I mean,
yeah. That's
yeah,
I don't know.
it's
It's a shame to pretend like it didn't happen and act like it wasn't even done maliciously in the book.
no,
Like
It
that
was
was the parlance of our times. That was the part that was the way. That was the vernacular.
it's that closed-mindedness that is gonna like shoehorn all these people into regressing.
and that's exactly what it is a regress. During pre World War II and during World War II rather, when the Nazis took power, one of the first things they did was burn all the problematic books or anything that went against the party.
That's what they should do to all the books they're banning now. They should like put together a group of people, just call them firefighters, right? And then have those new firefighters burn all the books that nobody is allowed to read.
You know, I think I may have read something like that once.
Nope, it's banned. Can't read it.
In case anybody is a little obtuse to the reference there, Duck is referencing a book called Fahrenheit 451, and that book's actually been put on the ban list quite a bit because
Seriously?
Yes, Fahrenheit 451 has been banned in some libraries and schools because
Oh,
it talks about censorship and banning books.
because it says banning books is oppression.
Well, it's written as a warning as why we shouldn't allow this to happen. So of course you don't want people to read that if that's what you want to do.
Yikes!
Yeah,
I actually find that burning of books can be very appropriate. You ever seen the movie Day After Tomorrow? They're all stuck in a library and an apocalypse that's happening, and they got to stay warm. And there's nothing else around to save their lives with. And even then, they were hoarding the books that were like super valuable, but they were burning the other ones. In that instance, yes, folks, burn your books. But short of that, come on, like have a lick of sense, where
I don't like censorship. I don't like censorship at all.
That's-
If you don't like something, don't fucking look at it, you goddamn Neanderthal. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean I don't. There's the UN, for example, is not even. They're not. They're just as guilty in some cases. They want to ban anime. The UN wants to ban anime. Now, luckily, most civilized countries have stuck their nose up and said, "Eat a dick." And I'm telling you right now, UN, you can eat a dick. If you don't like something, don't fucking look at it. I mean, really, why do you think you have to be the guardian of normative behavior and determine what is appropriate for the masses? What makes you the higher authority?
Well, that's the issue here. They're trying to stop children from being groomed by just grooming them the way they want.
They say, yeah, we're going to stop this grooming by grooming them our way.
It's an oxymoron, and they are oxymorons.
No, they're just morons.
I was about ready to say, it just sounds pretty like morons to me. But this dude in the article, basically saying, I don't care what everybody says about this bullshit banning stuff. If you come here, read it. Look for it. Search for it. Research it. If you got something that you want to find, you can find it here. And if you don't want to look at it, then fucking don't.
Yeah, there's a whole section of books right down there, right down that aisle about the pout fish with the pout face who spares the jury rearies all over the place. You don't have to read Mouse. You don't have to read Tom Sawyer. You don't have to read Fahrenheit 451. You don't have to. No one's saying read this or else. No, they're saying, hey, it's available if you want it.
If you want to, we're not going to keep you from getting information. That's not what a library is for. A library provides all of the information, and that's what they are doing.
We make jokes nowadays about Google being the repository of all human knowledge. Don't ever believe that, folks. It's a joke, okay? Google is not the repository of all human knowledge. It is anything. Just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. Also, just because it's in a book doesn't make it true necessarily. But, we do deposit all of our learning and everything we pass on for generations. 100 years from now, we are not going to be judged by awful haircuts and ill-fitting clothing or obsessions with Diet Coke. You're going to be judged on your literature, on what is left behind, for the knowledge that you have amassed during this time in history and passed on to future generations. Censoring it does not. It's just wrong. It's wrong, and you don't have a clear picture of what was done and what is going to happen, and history doomed to repeat itself. I'm rambling here, and one of you guys needs to stop me because I'm kind of losing my mind with this censorship stuff. I can't stand it.
Actually, like,
I don't know how to how am I supposed to like stop that, man?
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was good.
yeah, I mean, like if I thought you were being offensive or like out of order or something, I would have been like, and he gets a 5 for awesome. No, you were right in line there, man. Don't worry about it. That's
Okay.
why we have a podcast, man.
Yeah.
This is our show, dude.
And guess what? If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. But we really wish you. But
Yeah.
we really wish you would. And maybe tell a friend.
Please don't ban our podcast.
Don't cancel us.
Oh
Don't cancel
no,
us.
no, 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 no.
So I'm going to give a score of 1 to awesome. This library director gets an awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
will.
agree.
I'll second that.
See, we went from the worst episode scoring in history, Duck, to now, we're kind of like no score, good, no score, and we didn't score Duck. Maybe we should have, but we're not going to.
No, I did. I got 2.
Oh, you got a 2. Okay, Buck gave you.
Yeah, I gave Duck a 2, man. I gave Duck a
One-
2.
So
One
right,
liability for each duck.
so we went from a
No.
perfectly awful score of a 20. Now we're sitting at 2, but let's try and see what this last one is going to get us. This is coming from KFOR, Oklahoma's News 4. And I want to point out that even though I'm in Oklahoma, I'm not the one that finds these ones. I don't know why Buck always sends me these Oklahoma stories. I think he just wants to point out like how just goofy this state is sometimes. Moving on. Teens catfish teacher share his explicit images, deputies say. 3 teenagers pretended to be a 35-year-old woman online, got explicit images of a teacher, and then distributed his images to his students, Michigan investigators say. The kids, all between the ages of 14 and 15, made a dating profile posing as a 35-year-old woman using photos from the internet. Van Buren County Sheriff's Office Captain Jim Sharon, Charon? Let's go with that. Told Nextstar's Wood TV, Sharon said that Gobble's, Gobbles, Gobble's teacher sent sexually explicit images and videos to that profile. Sharon said that the 3 teenagers did not go to the district where the teacher works, but 2 of them knew him because he was their driver's education teacher. There was some reference that the 2 students were trying to blackmail their driver's ed teacher. They didn't carry through on those acts, though, so they didn't technically blackmail him. Sharon said that 3 teenagers did share the explicit images and videos to other students the teacher taught. Detectives still don't know why. What do you mean you don't know why? They're teenagers. They're douchebags.
They're dumb kids.
They're fucking douchebags. That's what they do. When you're talking about doing something and you're pretending to be someone else that you're not, then all of a sudden private information is shared, you treat that private information as a joke. That's when people want people held accountable for certain things, and rightfully so. The school district got word of the images and called the sheriff's office Monday night. The teacher is not accused of any wrongdoing. Sharon said the teacher believed he was interacting with a consenting adult. According to investigators, he did not know the teens were behind the profile until the sheriff's department contacted him. He was doing something he thought was between consenting adults. All of a sudden, now, this guy is basically all over the news for something he thought he was doing in private with another consenting adult. Sharon said the teachers and their families are cooperating with the sheriff's office investigation. The Van Buren County Prosecutor's Office is waiting on the police report to be finalized before deciding if criminal charges against the teenagers and whether the case will be handled in juvenile or adult court. There are some allegations that were made that the students were involved in, so we had to look into it and see what those allegations could get minors in trouble. The Gobbles Public School Superintendent declined a request for comment, citing an ongoing investigation.
Those kids better get in frickin' trouble. What the shit? They better get in trouble. That's, oh my gosh.
But what kind of trouble?
I got such a
Aren't
problem with that. I don't know what kind of trouble.
At the very least, they're distributing pornographic material to minors.
That is true. See, I'm literally sitting here trying to think to myself, and usually I'm the one that comes up with it, is what could you charge them with? If they didn't blackmail him, even though they said that was their intention initially, what could there be? But yeah, corruption of minors charges could be appropriate, or whatever it is in that jurisdiction, because it changes from locale to locale. But yeah, I guess that could be an appropriate charge. Now, they are 14 and 15 years old, so the likelihood of them being transferred to adult court is extremely low. I would say it's virtually non-existent. If this does go to charges, it's going to be handled in the juvenile system, I believe. But at the same time, do you really think
Either
that, do
way,
you think this guy can teach in that school district anymore?
that's
No,
the
he's
thing, man. Like these kids really
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I see a civil case in the works here, but what are you going to get from a
But
14,
how?
15-year-old?
But right. I mean, like, who's are you gonna hold their parents liable? I mean, like, is that even a thing for something like this? I don't know.
It
But
depends on the jurisdiction. It depends.
it's just such. This is just such a gross thing, man. Like he thought he was just with it, trying to get with another chick, another consenting adult.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this and saying, "Well, he should have been sending pictures of his dick." Well, he did. He thought he was exchanging pictures with an adult, and you know what?
What?
There's nothing wrong with
What?
that.
Yeah, we live in the 21st century. Like that's how it's done. Like, come on.
Look,
consenting adult.
before
It starts with consent.
before we get on the rabbit hole and get into a situation where we're all embarrassed, why don't we just take a look and see what we're working with and see if this is something we want to give a shot at?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get in a situation where all of a sudden there's laughter involved, okay?
At least you can't hear it.
Yes, at least you can't hear the laughter when it's done this way.
Right.
Oh.
I mean, like,
At least
oh my
he's not
gosh.
in trouble. That's the biggest takeaway from this, because you always hear when your parents are telling you to be careful on the internet, like, hey, it doesn't matter if there's any kind of allegation, you're done, right?
Pretty much, especially as an educator.
Those are the warnings I received. So I'm glad that somebody is looking at this with a regular my state of mind and not
but
throwing the book at him for nothing.
here's the thing:
Once
there's
can't-
there's parents in that school district who are looking for to hang this guy from the gallows.
You're darn right. You can't put the truth back in the box. Like that's this ball is rolling. This ball is rolling. This man is now in the court of public opinion. And there are those who will have the opinion that no matter what, his image is now on the phones and devices of minor children in the school district, and that's he should have known better. He's a teacher. He shouldn't have been able to do those things online. That's what people are getting. He should have conducted himself in a more, conductible manner or whatever.
Yes. Teachers aren't real people. They should not. They shouldn't engage in sexual activities.
That's what's going to happen, and this poor guy is going to be subject to the court of public opinion, and it's a terrible, terrible thing.
I mean, his career in that school district's done. It really is.
Right.
Unless he's hung like a Clydesdale, and the legend of his phallic instrument then permeates the zeitgeist of that of that school district, where they're all around like, that's the teacher with the huge cock. I'm just saying.
Now he's got all these parents, single mothers, calling him up.
All of a sudden, I'd like to get a parent-teacher conference.
Your kid's not even in my class.
That's
Did
okay.
I stutter?
That's okay.
Well, either way, man. Either way, these kids may not get into any serious legal trouble over this because of their age, but here on the Social Liability Podcast, these little bastards get a 4.
I can co-sign that.
Yeah, I'm even debating a 5.
You give whatever score you want. We never shame each other for scores.
Nope.
We have our own. We each have our own criteria. I reserve 5s usually for murder and death. But
no, that is your own discretion, man. Scoring is up to you.
Yeah, I just think about how he probably felt, sexual stuff aside, after realizing his girlfriend was fake or whatever.
Well, not just that too, but now his career is essentially stalled, and even after this goes away, he can go to a different school district. Well, apply for another school district, rather. And what's the first thing you do when you have a new applicant? You Google them. And this dude's going to pop up. Oh, this is the guy that has dick pics everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even, I thought about it, but I really didn't go that deep into it. I'm going to have to raise mine up to a 4. Just based on that. These kids, they did something that it may not have, killed somebody, but it might as well have.
It might have killed a career.
Well, and think about that. This guy, what's he gonna? He went to college. he spent money like getting trained and for this occupation, and these kids just went and shit the bed all over
And
him.
he didn't even
Yeah.
get laid.
Nope. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll escalate that to a 5.
He even got blue balls out of it. I mean, come on. All right, folks, that's going to bring us to an end to another episode of the Social Liability Podcast. I just want to take this moment to remind everybody the Social Liability Podcast costs nothing. The only thing we ask you to pay is attention. If you would please tell a friend, like, subscribe, whatever it is you do. You can find us on just about any podcasting platform, as well as our YouTube channel. Just search for the Social Liability Podcast, where you can see full video episodes of these just ugly dudes. That's just no other way to put it.
And a duck. Ugly dudes and the duck.
And oftentimes bad haircuts. But that being said, folks, I am the Razgrees. They are the Duck and the Buck. Wishing you all a happy and safe week, and we'll catch you on the next episode.